What's up, fight fans? Mainman Mademan here. Y'all know how I get down. We talking boxing, man. What up to the fam? What up to everyone in Mainman Mademan's boxing form? Hey, look, man. So the thing is this. I see that word on the curb, man. We got reports surfacing. It look like Dan Rayfield is reporting on it that Dmitry Bivol, WBA champion at 175 pounds, has now signed an agreement with the organizers in the Middle East and Saudi Arabia that if Artur Beterbiev gets through his next fight against his mandatory and Callum Smith on January the 13th, that then the next fight after that will be Bivol versus Beterbiev. And that will be for an undisputed fight at 175 pounds. Man, that ain't nothing but good news, fight fans. This is another fight that's long overdue, man, that's been talked about amongst boxing fans for as far as I can remember. Dmitry Bivol and Artur Beterbiev has turned out to be some of the two best talents in the last few years to rise to the top of that division. You know, the funny thing about 175 is that basically we haven't had a definite ruler of the division for quite some time. I mean, I know a lot of boxing fans may say, hey, man, I think Adonis Stevenson was the guy for a long time. But then you'll have a lot of other boxing fans say, hey, yo, man, Sergey Kovalev was the guy for a long time. And unfortunately, we never got an Adonis Stevenson versus Sergey Kovalev fight to kind of determine that. And both men, unfortunately, got beat. Vazdik beat Adonis Stevenson, taking his WBC. And of course, my main man, Andre Ward, dethroned Sergey Kovalev, taking all of his world titles. And when Sergey Kovalev kind of got back on top by getting another world title, he then lost again to Canelo Alvarez. Unfortunately, though, neither one of these men squared off versus Artur Beterbiev nor Dmitry Bivol, even though we know that Sergey Kovalev lost to Artur Beterbiev in the amateurs. And pretty much after that, it's been almost so emerged. Artur Beterbiev and Dmitry Bivol has been the guys of the division. Keep in mind, fight fans, Dmitry Bivol has held his WBA title for around 7 years. So he's held that title for a very long time. And, you know, Sergey Kovalev never wanted to give Dmitry Bivol nor Artur Beterbiev, who he's lost to in the amateurs, never really wanted to give them the time of day. You know what I'm saying? And they was in the division still doing their thing at that time. But however, they still wasn't seen as the top dogs like Adonis Stevenson and Kovalev was. So, you know, now here we are at a point where we can possibly determine the guy of the division once again. And it doesn't look like politics is going to play a part, as it has prevented this fight for a very long time. But hopefully it comes together, man, and doesn't end up like Adonis Stevenson and Sergey Kovalev did. However, we know they come from the part of the world that's not super popular and everything like that. So building that fight up probably took some time. It's real funny, fight fans, because ever since the fall of Sergey Kovalev and Adonis Stevenson, Artur Beterbiev and Dmitry Bivol both have gotten to work, and I'm talking about immediately. You got Artur Beterbiev. As soon as Andre Ward defeated Sergey Kovalev, he vacated his IBF title, because he retired. And so the first person in line for it was Artur Beterbiev. He went after that title 6 years ago, fight fans, back in 2017. And so since then, he's also racked up the title by also defeating Vazdik. And we know that Vazdik is the guy that dethroned Adonis Stevenson. So at the end of the day, Artur Beterbiev has been getting to work, man. And then on top of that, he picked up the title up off Joe Smith. When Joe Smith, the common man, everybody likes to watch Joe Smith fight. And Joe Smith got dethroned by Artur Beterbiev. And Artur Beterbiev is known to be a very powerful puncher, very hard hitter, really good in the high knockout ratio. His power always has been legendary to go all the way back to the amateurs. We know he defeated Vazdik also back in the amateurs, and it said that he broke his nose back then. He also fought Oleksandr Usyk 3 times in the amateurs, where he defeated him 1 time and lost to Oleksandr Usyk twice. And he also dropped Oleksandr Usyk. And Oleksandr Usyk is now fighting as a heavyweight champion today. And also throw in the fact that he defeated Sergey Kovalev in the amateurs. And Sergey Kovalev was known to be a very skillful fighter. And so this just shows the pedigree early on from Artur Beterbiev to have a very skillful background as well. And this has also been said from Dmitry Bivol. So we know that Artur Beterbiev packs a mean punch, and he got a lot of skill with him as well. And Dmitry Bivol is making no mince of that, man. He knows exactly what's right there in front of him. But we know that Dmitry Bivol got to work as well. High skilled fighter, very good jab, very good mobility, very high boxing IQ. Dmitry Bivol got put in front of a lot of boxing fans' eyes recently when he defeated Canelo Alvarez. Due to the popularity of Canelo Alvarez, this allowed a lot of people to see how good Dmitry Bivol really is. And so, a lot of us already kind of knew how good he was. But once again, this welcomed Bivol and his skills to the masses. Now, Dmitry Bivol, he's held his WBA title for around 7 years. So, though he doesn't have 3 titles like Artur Beterbiev, who's went around collecting belts, politically, it's been a much more difficult route for Dmitry Bivol. Sergey Kovalev didn't look Dmitry Bivol's way when he was on top. Dmitry Bivol, due to his fighting style and just not being big of a trash talker, well, he hasn't been able to garner the attention or the desire of other fighters to really want to fight him. He's made some good moves in his business as of late by lining himself up with Eddie Hearn and so on and so forth. And this has been allowing him to get much better fights. And so Dmitry Bivol has been, he's a guy, he's defeated Joe Smith. He's, defeated the who's who that was left post Sergey Kovalev and Adonis Stevenson. He's beat up on guys like Joe Smith, Jean Pascal, fighters like Gilberto Ramirez. We just recently seen him get the victory over Lyndon Arthur on the December the 23rd card that had Anthony Joshua and Deontay Wilder on it. He dropped Lyndon Arthur in the 11th round while basically pitching damn near a shutout. And so, yeah, man, he's got basically been fighting, like I said, whoever was kind of left in the division, any other name other than Artur Beterbiev, he's been kind of mopping them up, and same, he's got little, mid-tier opponents, guys like Isaac Chilemba and Sullivan Barrera. At once upon a time, they were heavier hitters in the division, but it seems as if that Dmitry Bivol got rid of all of those guys. And the same thing for Artur Beterbiev. He fought Anthony Yard, giving Yard another loss on his young career, and just basically showing levels. You know what I mean? There's been a lot of criticism on Artur Beterbiev as of late, stating that he's getting a bit older and he's not as active perhaps as he likes to be, and maybe saying, people seeing some signs of him slowing down. And he's been a much more slower starter, it seems like, as of lately. But his power is always seemingly there, and we know power is normally one of the last things to go. He's pushing up on 40 years old, but I think that he will be more than ready and game to rise to the occasion for Dmitry Bivol. Dmitry Bivol has been asking and calling for this fight for as far as I can remember. He even resists a rematch with Canelo Alvarez to want to go after this particular fight. He knows that this has more meaning. This is more legacy defining. It's something that the boxing fans have been asking for quite some time, and it definitely determines the #1 fighter at 175, and on top of that, knocks them up on the pound-for-pound rankings, in my opinion. I think this is going to be a monumental fight fans, especially for the 175-pound division. Long overdue fight, but once again, let's not take our eyes off the ball and forget that it all begins with Artur Beterbiev needing to win versus Callum Smith on January the 13th. And a lot of boxing fans don't believe that that's going to be a walk in the park for Artur Beterbiev. We'll be watching and we'll be measuring, fight fans. Now, we see how these things can sometimes go, fight fans. We just lost us a big fight that had a real big build-up for many years, didn't we? Where we just seen Deontay Wilder lose to Joseph Parker. And who knows, may have either stalled or hopefully, maybe took that fight off the table with Anthony Joshua. And that had to hurt a lot of boxing fans. And so, hopefully we won't see the same thing happen in this situation. And Artur Beterbiev gets through Callum Smith. I'm leaning towards Artur Beterbiev to get through Callum Smith. I will definitely be covering this fight, especially knowing that the Dmitry Bivol implications in the future. Since the situation broke out in the world over there in the Ukraine, it's been one of the things that's kind of also prevented a fight between Beterbiev and Dmitry Bivol, because the WBC had came out and stated that they were not going to back any fighter from pretty much that part of the world. They would not allow their title to be involved against any fighter from that part of the world or from Russia, where Dmitry Bivol is from. Now, don't get it twisted, fight fans. Beterbiev is from Russia as well. However, he fights out of Canada, so the WBC gives him the benefit of the doubt. And so it's very unfortunate, you know what I'm saying? And so that was one of the obstacles that was seen that may, prevent this fight. However, with the Saudis coming up with this kind of money, I'm sure that they're looking to pay these two dudes, and the promoter's going to make a hefty fee off it. I got a real funny feeling that the WBC gonna come around, fight fans. What say y'all? You know what I mean? But either way it goes, Artur Beterbiev got to go in there and get the job done versus Callum Smith. Callum Smith has been looking good at 175. We know he's the former champion down at 168 pounds, moving up to 175. He's got a couple good wins. He's been doing his thing at 75. And now he's going to get in there with Artur Beterbiev. He's became Artur Beterbiev mandatory in the WBC. And so at this time, he's got to defend his WBC mandatory. And then from then on, hopefully pivot to a big undisputed fight with Dmitry Bivol. Once again, pending he is very successful. This is going to be off the chain. I'm rocking with my main man, Dmitry Bivol, though, fight fans. And I really always felt that Dmitry Bivol had a better chance against Artur Beterbiev. So we'll see. Thumbs up on the way out. If you didn't hit it on the way in, share, rock the bells, man. Good square off right here. We've been waiting for this fight for a very long time. I know there's some news out there being made about Artur Beterbiev's age, and he's maybe not the same fighter that he used to be. At the end of the day, man, this is the fight of his legacy right here. This is Artur Beterbiev's legacy defining fight. So he would have to find something within him to rise to the occasion. I get it. If there's anything left in those hands of stone of his, I think that he'll definitely want to show it versus Dmitry Bivol. And I think he'll definitely rise to that occasion. But it all starts with him defeating Callum Smith on January 13th. To the next video, man. Peace out.